Yeah, he stepped up. I mean, that's the perfect way to say it. I mean, he's done it before with us. He knows how to go out there and get open. And today was his day. It's going to be by committee. It's going to be a lot of different guys from that role. But I'm glad Juju showed that he still got it, and I'm glad he's on our football team.
Patrick Mahomes on Monday night after another victory for the Kansas City Chiefs, 26-13 over the New Orleans Saints at Arrowhead. He's referring, of course, to Juju Smith-Schuster, who went 7 for 130 on 8 targets in this game, leading the way for a Chiefs offense that just rolled the Saints. And even though the final score might not look like this was a dominating effort by the defending back-to-back champs, it absolutely was. Dan Hanzus is here. Heed the call with Marc Sessler. Sessdog, they doubled up the Saints. Kansas City did in first downs, 28-14. Total yards, they piled up 460 to 220 for the Saints. Time of possession, nearly 40-20. It was that type of performance. And I guess the thing that's missing is some of the splash plays of yesteryear that would make this a highlight reel performance by the Chiefs. But this version will work where they can control the ball on offense and then the defense takes it home.
Yeah, I'm personally, because I've been saying this for so long, I'm a little over my issues with this offense because they're going to take a week and figure out, and they're going to get Kareem Hunt and say, look, you've been in the building for 14 hours, but we're going to get you a 100-yard night. Juju, who disappeared, went to New England and disappeared, comes back and looks complete, a 50-yard catch night. That was a big play. And they find a way to get it done. I thought, they had a great plan coming out because it's like, we're going to warm everyone up. And we are going to, and they talked about it on the broadcast and it was very clear to all of us, like, we're going to get Travis Kelce involved right away. There was like 5 planned Travis Kelce patterns, catches in the first quarter alone. It got him out. It got those questions answered. Then everyone else started to warm up. And to me, it's just like, look at we are watching terrible offenses right now around the league. There are 4 or 5 attacks that seem like these are buildings of 40 to 50 people, human beings trying to put together something functional for us to watch, and they can't do it. And Andy Reid is working with second and third string reserves, and you pile up 460 yards of offense. To me, the Chiefs prove once again, it really doesn't matter who they're playing. They're sort of like city detectives. They're going to mine the case. They're going to figure out where the strengths and weaknesses are, and they're going to solve the case. And that's what they keep doing week after week. And this wasn't one where wow, because we've seen it they, with 230 yards of offense and Mahomes, EPA and all this other nonsense, he's not really himself. They were great tonight in the sense that with what they have to work with. That was a very impressive showing and was pretty dominant. And I know the Saints got back into it a little bit late, but this was another, to me, proof positive that Andy Reid, give him a week, he's going to find a way to make football interesting.
Yeah.
I know you don't feel, but they have 460 yards of offense.
Because we've been watching the Chiefs not be overly interesting if we're talking about their attack for a couple of years now. So I'm not all of a sudden now the Chiefs are fixed and they're exciting and fun to watch. So I can't go there, but I will say I liked your analogy about that it's what did you say, a police investigation?
Well, city detectives, they're gonna mine deep. They'll be obsessive.
But and Andy Reid is the grizzled chief sitting back at the police headquarters, barking out orders. But it helps to have Columbo, or Veronica Mars for a more modern reference, perhaps. That's Patrick Mahomes. And I thought Mahomes was absolutely brilliant in this game. This is, even though the stats aren't there and fantasy heads are going to be annoyed about it, because he never seems to put up those 30, 40-point fantasy games anymore. He was so in control this game, and the way he was moving in this game especially was just some of those scrambles, and he finished up with, let's see where he was at on the rushing side of things. Yeah, 6 for 22. That doesn't really tell the story of what he did on a couple of scrambles, including one where, he laid out on a third down scramble that initially was ruled short of the sticks, but then they reviewed it and he got the first down. They went on to score on that drive, and, he finishes 28 of 39, 331. And I mentioned Juju Smith-Schuster, who was great in this game, and I mentioned that he has 7 catches on 8 targets. The one target that did not turn into a catch was a well-placed Mahomes pass on the goal line that came out of Juju Smith-Schuster's hands and then was intercepted by Kalen Saunders and run back the other way, which gave the Saints their second touchdown of the game, which made this a game again. But you take that play out of it, if Juju executes that, we are talking about, a real blowout win, which is what this game felt like. So, yeah, I think especially with, the Rashee Rice news is quote-unquote good news, which kind of tells you, Mark, how serious internally they thought this injury could be. Adam Schefter reported, and Rap Sheet also came out that it's believed to be right now an LCL injury, and they're still holding out hope that it's not an ACL injury. And while they think his 2024 season is lost, they think he could make a full recovery for 25. So the fact that tells you that that's good news, or that's how it's being told, that they really thought that his career was in danger. So you don't have Rice, and you still don't have Pachenko, but now that you have this Juju here, and Kelsey has found his footing in this offense again, Mahomes will make the rest work, even with Kareem Hunt, who's turning back the clock as well here. It's amazing what they can do.
It is impressive to me that, out of nowhere, Kareem Hunt looks like it's 5.5 years ago in terms of the way he moved tonight and the way he just fits. And it helps to bring in someone that knows the offense, obviously. But, he fit in so well. And I think Xavier Worthy plays a larger role each week. I get that, the conversation we had with, James and Steve Smith, where it's you can't ask him to go be your number one guy on a consistent basis, but he does little things. And I thought even tonight, the way that they got him downfield, and Paulson Adebo, who's been a DPI machine, did not get called on one where he should have. But then on the next drive, I think it was the next drive, they go right back to it. Same situation because they know this player is vulnerable, and they get a 46-yard DPI thanks to Xavier Worthy's speed and how tough it is to stop him. And so I think it's just finding ways to work through what you have to work with, using 4 tight ends on a huge play. This is just stuff that it's smart guys that have been around coaching and scheming for 45 years, like Andy Reid. He's just going to find dip into the toolbox and say, well, here's what we can do to you. And the Saints, to me, on the flip side, nice job. If this is such if there's no explosive element to this offense, and I'm being tongue in cheek because it's Mahomes, the Saints did very little. Now, the one thing I'd say they did that was successful was I think it was 6 or 7 trips to the red zone for the Chiefs, and they got 2 touchdowns. That's part of their own issues to work out, but the Saints allowed them to march down there. I mean, the Saints really had no answer to anything that Kansas City was doing. That's what was impressive to me. It's you are playing a team missing a bunch of guys, and it didn't look like it to me if you didn't know their names.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what were some of the greatest 2-hit wonders of all time. The Spin Doctors,
sure.
Blues Traveler.
Whoa.
What?
Blues Traveler had, I see from the general perspective, you might say that, but I would say they had 3.
They had 2 hits, though. They had Hook, and they had Runaround. Those were the hits. Well, now, they're a band with longevity, but I'm talking about hits, baby.
Okay, but their first album had a couple in there, too, but they weren't radio plays necessarily unless you were listening to college radio. So
Look at you, a real popperhead here, huh? Save it for the throwback podcast, bud.
What's the first concert I ever went to?
How about Tone Loc?
I'm with you on that. That to me is clear.
A more recent artist, LMFAO. These are 2-hit wonders, and that's what the Saints are looking like now on offense.
Yes.
After absolutely shredding the league in weeks 1 and 2, it has not been anything close to that in this game, and it starts as ugly as it can get. I thought 2 passes really told the story of the Chiefs in this game. The first was on their first possession. One of those horrendous interceptions that our man Derek Carr is known to throw. He just kind of lofts. I don't even know what it was. He throws it deep downfield, targeting Shaheed. It's picked off by Cook, and it just was a balloon a pass that should have never been thrown. Certainly not a pass that should have landed in bounds. And as ugly as that pass was, the last pass he threw in the game was beautiful, and it came on. It came with a game still hanging in the balance. It was 23-13. It was 4th and 8 at the Kansas City 41, and Derek Carr is facing an all-out blitz from Spags, who sends the house, which is a gutsy play call by the DC, and Carr lets it rip and throws a beautiful rainbow that goes directly. I mean, this is this type of stuff that will just drive you crazy. When your quarterback sells his body out, takes a brutal hit that ends with him going to the locker room with an oblique injury, and the least you can ask is for the receiver, Mason Tipton, to make it play, and it goes right through his arms for the turnover on downs. The game ends up with Carr on the sideline for the last possession and Jake Hayner in the game, and they just don't have that continuity on offense, and they don't have – I know they hit the one big play to Shaheed Mark, the touchdown pass of that from 43 yards out that, again, pumped a little life into this game. But in general, they've missed that consistent ability to attack downfield, and the running game's not getting it done anymore either. So it's just a totally different offense.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, did they figure out Clint Kubiak this quickly? He's not creating an offense that's never been around before, but I think it's a little bit of everything. Like Rashid Shaheed, they were in this game because of the play he made. That disappeared a couple weeks ago. But then the Chiefs had 225 yards. After Carr was injured, and he goes to the locker room with the oblique injury, and that would have been a tough catch by Mason Tipton, but that was a beautiful, incredible throw. I mean, just kind of like, wow, like he got whacked on that play. But that's at that point in the game, and this is sort of like where you're getting help from the people around you if you're Derek Carr. The Chiefs had 225 yards after the catch. The Saints had 39 with 6 minutes to go in the
no
game.
Juice.
So you're just not getting right. Whatever was going on early on in the season, it's been solved. And Spags it's just like Andy Reid on the other side. Like Spags had a good plan for them, and they had the interception right out of the gate, and then 2 quick 3-and-outs. And the Chiefs are piling up 40 yards of time of possession. So it's a tough formula to crack if you can't stay on the field.
We'll look at some other 2-hit wonders. See, I won't, I'm seeing Carly Rae Jepsen pop up a lot. No, I ain't going there. Maybe Carly Rae Jepsen is my version of Blues Traveler for you, Mark, where like I won't stand for erasure of Carly Rae Jepsen's accomplishments and what she's brought to the cultural
How many
sphere.
hits did she? But I would think that it would be generous to like call me maybe in the one where she is washing the guy's car in that one. There's something else. There's another one she does.
I don't want our Canadian listeners to come for you, Mark. That's all I'll say.
Has she released like 4 records that I don't know about? Like I'm like a fan. I think she's fine to some degree.
Vanilla Ice was a famous one too. Ice Ice
Yeah.
Baby and Play That Funky Music.
Yeah.
Cobra Starship, Soulja Boy.
What
All right,
about
these are
Len?
all-
Len was more of a what hit one. Len did not have a
Len
second
was
hit.
very much a one-hit
Okay.
wonder. Absolutely. Let's see. Ugly Kid Joe. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Natasha Bedingfield. All right. CeeLo. All right, let's focus up. That's the Saints. That's the category. That's the company.
Is that what you were doing during this game, coming up with that list? Because that was pretty impressive.
I had a lot going on during this game. We had
I know you did. I know you
Yankee
did. You
playoff
suffered.
game that
Yeah,
didn't
it's
go
been
my
tough.
way. We had a fantasy matchup that went sour on the final Alvin Kamara reception in garbage time. Sometimes you just got to just grind through a podcast. That's where we're at right now. And I'm just emotionally, I'm here for you, Mark. Physically, emotionally, it's one of those tough nights,
If I could deliver anything to you, it would be that little girl in the raincoat that does the little rain when it rains it pours thing, and she could she could be in your backyard and it could rain on her, and you'd understand the symbolism of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Could we come up with another reference that's at least 25 to 30 years old?
I don't know.
Episode?
Sometimes I wonder where your references come from. I don't know that one, but it sounds disturbing almost.
Well,
Little
no, that's
girl
on
in a
the
raincoat?
it's on the salt packet. We'll put it up on the screen at some point. You know what I'm talking about, Justin, right?
Now I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's when it rains, it pours. It's a salt. It's a people. Some will understand if they were born in the 70s, 40s, 50s.
Let's take a break and we'll hit a little bit of news. Man, sometimes it can be such a struggle to find premium basic clothes online that actually fit, not too big, not too tight, and that are versatile enough for everything I have going on this fall. You know this, Mark. We talk about it all the time. But you know what? I don't struggle with this anymore because with True Classic, I know I'm getting premium clothes with a tailored fit at an affordable price. I could build my whole wardrobe out of True Classic t-shirts, hoodies, jeans, and more. They come in packs of 3, 6, or 9 with assorted colors. And I don't know if I've ever worn anything more comfortable, Mark. I like kind of like the basic look, and this gives you everything you need, bud.
Oh, I mean, this is weird, but I've been like buying True Classic for a long time. I think I was wearing them I had the jeans and the t-shirts. I was out the other night walking up and down, Hollywood Boulevard, and people were noticing, Dan.
Oh, and I bet it was the t-shirt.
Yeah.
These comfy tees highlight your best features, snug in the arm and chest with just the right amount of room in the midsection. Yum.
Yeah, well, I'm loving the tee. They're very soft and comfortable. But this fall, I'm setting up my closet with some long sleeve Henleys too. It's becoming autumn here. A couple button ups. So I'm just expanding the wardrobe. That's what you do if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, man, you need that.
I do, but I don't even, I don't have to worry about it with True Classic. I also don't have to worry about these clothes not fitting. They come with a 100% perfect fit guarantee, so you can send it back if you want. Kind of annoying. I never had to. They always fit. And easy returns if you don't like what you order, which seems very unlikely considering True Classic is trusted by over 4 million customers with more than 200,000 reviews to back that up.
Absolutely, Mark, because fall is here, so it's time to step up your game. Right now, you can unlock big savings when you bundle packs. Just go to our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/HTC to save. That's trueclassic.com/HTC. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today.
October is here, or as we call it on Underdog, Boostober. That's right, every single day, Underdog is dropping a different promo all month long. Check your app on a daily basis because, trust me, you do not want to miss out on these specials. If you haven't started playing on Underdog yet, Boostober is the perfect month to get started. Just download the Underdog app or head to the website underdogfantasy.com, sign up with the promo code HTC, that's our show, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code HTC to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your first deposit offer for our U.S. audience only.
All right, we are back. By the way, just to button up Monday Night Football, the Chiefs are 5-0, and that is considering all the adversity that they faced in terms of injuries and a number of close calls. To be 5-0 heading into their bye week, and they come out of the bye and they'll get the Niners and the Raiders and the Bucks. If this team starts finding their footing, and they certainly looked at least tonight like a team that was starting to find its footing, look out. Look out. It's like Groundhog Day. This team once again is going to roll into the playoffs, especially, I don't know who else in the conference I feel totally great about. I mean, maybe the Ravens, but right now the Chiefs are the heavy favorites, I think, in the AFC once again, and that is a credit to the entire organization. Sessdog.
It is. I think you're getting the Niners at the right time after a bye week to get a little healthier. I like that.
I mean, let me look real quick at the AFC, or the state of the AFC. And by the way, we're going to, on our next podcast with Connor Orr, we're going to debut the HTC Power Rankings. I'm looking at the AFC, unless you want to talk yourselves into the Texans, who certainly have some potential. It's a down year in the AFC East, it's looking like, or at least after the last 2 weeks for the Bills. It's all right in front of the Chiefs again. So let's see what happens. All right, let's do some news.
So where's Kyler?
Well, Kyler is practicing Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
So who's stepping in?
Me, I'm the quarterback now.
Hey, I'm Kyler.
Hey, enough questions. Let's hit the showers. Huh? Come along. Bring your cameras.
So apparently there's a Kyler Murray's partnered with Call of Duty for, I guess, their latest release. And that's what are they doing, Justin? They're just having some fun with the stories around Kyler and his video game addiction by having like a creepy guy wanting to take nude showers with journalists.
Right, that was a bit of a stretch there.
I have no idea what this commercial has anything to do with Call of Duty or Kyler Murray or the content of it. Obviously, the the bit is that Kyler's off playing Call of Duty. But yeah, he did tweet something like, "Thanks to all the trolls thanks for trolling me so hard I got a bag," or something like. People made so much fun of me for playing Call of Duty that now I'm getting paid to partner with Call of Duty.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. That's fair. There's also, it's a little bit newsworthy, accidentally newsworthy by the Call of Duty people, because there is like a big kerfuffle going on right now between the union and the journos out there about locker room access and the rights the players have for privacy, a place where they change and whatnot, and some pushes by the union to eliminate that longstanding method of gathering quotes post-game. This guy is inviting the journalists into the shower.
Right.
So maybe that's a peace offering. Yeah.
Avant-garde of some nature.
All right, let's start with Davante Adams in the news. The trade talks are heating up. The all-pro wide receiver is not going to play another snap with the Raiders. In fact, the Athletic's Diana Rossini reported earlier Monday that Las Vegas wants to move Adams, quote, sometime in the next 48 hours, so this can go down at any time, and it looks like it will happen ahead of Week 6. Antonio Pierce, during his meeting with reporters, was asked about the situation. Here's what he had to say.
From your perspective as a coach of the organization, where did it kind of go sideways with him?
I don't know. I think I got to ask Davante that.
So, Mark, it's just a matter of when now and which team gets him. And we know several teams that could use him. It's just a matter now of what they're going to give up. There's also some reporting out there that, Mark, that the Raiders, they want not just someone to take all the remaining salary that Adams is owed, but they're also looking to get maybe a second-round pick. And as we know, that is not how it works. So I would expect it to be a third-round pick max, and we'll see what happens.
I do feel like bad teams botch trade scenarios like pretty consistently. That's why they're bad teams. And I don't know, didn't it kind of feel like this was, and it was a different coach, Josh McDaniels, a year ago, but he didn't get along with Davante Adams. Could you have sold higher? I mean, Josh McDaniels came from a Belichick tree that traded Richard Seymour at his peak and got a first-round pick. And now we're talking, I'm with you, I think like a second feels rich at this point because you know he doesn't want to be on the team. And you've got
they have
the
no
Raiders.
Leverage.
Yeah, you got them over a barrel. So it's just like it's like Antonio Pierce. The experience is diminishing with each passing week, and mea culpa on this because I like I said on Sunday, I thought this was going to go better, and like Davante Adams did not want to be here with Jimmy Garoppolo, which I understand. You sold his best friend to the Saints. You move on from that situation. And then you've got to try to convince him that Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are going to elevate his career. He's sitting here in his peak of his career. So it's like, where does he go that fits? Because I think some of the targets I think are chaotic too. So part of me is like, where does Davante Adams really, really want to go? Are we just assuming it's the Jets? Because the Jets don't seem like a wild picnic. They're 2-3. They were 2-3 a year ago. They scored 93 points last year. They've scored 93 points this year. It's not like I get that he can make that offense go potentially because he fits in to the system, but I'm not sure that that's
what
exactly
it's about.
Well, right.
He's not looking for necessarily a forever home. He's looking somewhere he can move in the middle of the season and have chemistry with the quarterback. Now, Derek Carr's injury, we're going to see what this injury is and how that could impact the situation because obviously Carr and Adams have that call. I still think this ends up with him going to the Jets, and maybe we should just shut up because it could happen any time now.
Yeah.
But your point does stand, though. Like, bad organizations handle situations poorly, and it was very clear that the Raiders and Davante Adams were not a match. Where he was in his career and where that team was entering this season, it was very obvious, I think, to a lot of people, he should have been moved maybe around the draft, for instance, because it's not hard to predict how this season was going to play out with Minshew and Aiden O'Connell and the roster that they had in place. And now they're scrambling to get something done in the middle of a year, and it's causing a distraction and headaches and just poorly handled. Let's see what they get out of it, but don't be surprised if it's not what you would think for a player of Adams' stature. In other news, scary situation developing in Tampa. We have a lot of listeners all over the country and absolutely in the Tampa area as well. My buddy Shalin Patel, his family's from there. So anyone in this area, our thoughts are with you. Hurricane Milton is bearing down on the area. There hasn't been a hurricane that has made a direct strike on Tampa in over a century. I read earlier today, and according to the National Hurricane Center, Milton has strengthened into a Category 5 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 160 miles per hour over the southern Gulf of Mexico as we record this. So this is a storm that is heading toward Tampa. As a result, on the certainly less important side of things with life, the football team, the Bucs, are scheduled to be in New Orleans in Week 6 to play the Saints. So they are actually leaving Tampa early on Tuesday to get ahead of the hurricane, and they'll do their preparation, and they will stay in New Orleans ahead of that. Afterwards, for Week 7 and 8, they have 2 home dates against Baltimore and Atlanta, and we'll see what happens. So everyone is crossing their fingers, obviously, that this hurricane does not hit as hard as is being predicted right now, but this is a major looming situation for everyone down there, including the local football team.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think back from a football angle, like what happened to New Orleans and the Saints and how that really wove deeply into who they became after it. But, I mean, the city, it's meant to be the largest mass evacuation since 2017. You got to wonder from, like, I'll keep it from the football side. It's like what happens to the stadium in this kind of a situation? Like, when is it ready to be used again? And the Saints had to move, and they were displaced for a long period of time. And I think, like, we've come to know that, like, football players and coaches are just militaristic, and they have families, and obviously their families are there. Like, it's just kind of super chaotic. And this is a really good Bucs team right now, and it's like this is a major subplot to their season, to the division, but certainly much more to the city is like, sometimes these things, like, they veer in a little bit of a way, and you're like, it's a little bit less than you thought.
That's what you're hoping for, that this turns into
yeah.
a near miss, or it lessens, because if it is as it's being kind of projected right now, it's a very dangerous situation. So best wishes to everybody down there in Tampa. And finally in the news, Jabrill Peppers of the New England Patriots has been arrested on assault and drug possession charges. I think this was in the Braintree area of Massachusetts. The Patriots' statement on the alleged incident: "We are aware of an incident involving Jabrill Peppers over the weekend in which the police are currently investigating. We will have no further comment at this time." Peppers, a key part of that defense, so obviously this is something to keep an eye on. Just been a tough season so far for the Patriots. Before we leave, a quick injury roundup, Mark. I mentioned that Rashee Rice needs LCL surgery. They still hope, and they have to do, I guess it's an exploratory surgery on some level, to find out if the ACL is intact. They're hoping, if that's the case, the recovery is about a 3-month recovery. Either way, it looks like his 2024 season is over, but hopefully nothing else behind that. Aaron Rodgers, who keeps getting beat up, has a low ankle sprain. He was taken down in the second half of that loss to the Vikings, but he says he's okay, and he will be ready for their big home game on Monday night against the Bills in Week 6. Will Levis is recovering from an AC joint sprain. He's expected to be ready on Sunday. Brian Callahan, though, is kind of hedging or keeping his cards close to his vest. They're going to see how he progresses this week, so that means we could get some Mason Rudolph action as well. D'Amico Ryans described Nico Collins' hamstring injury as a week-to-week, and it's a sign that he's going to miss some time. He said it takes a couple of weeks for a hamstring. The Texans have a bye in Week 6, so that's perfectly timed, but I don't know, based on that description, whether that's something that's they're going to need more than that, most likely, for Collins to get healthy. They're going to want to get him right. Austin Corbett, the center for the Panthers, out for the season with a biceps injury. Panthers keep on getting beat up. Will Hernandez, the guard for the Cardinals, he is out for the year. He was really a standout for them this season, and now he goes down with an injury. He's done. And the Bengals cornerback Dax Hill out for the season with a torn ACL. It is a war of attrition, Marc Sessler.
Yeah, and like the Bengals specifically also were without Mike Hilton this past week, and so they were real shallow at cornerback. That mattered a lot. That's going to continue to matter. Their season's hanging on by a thread. I don't know. I'm looking at this list, and I don't mean to point out your guy, but I really I fear for how Aaron Rodgers survives this entire campaign. Let's hope he does. I mean, I think a low ankle sprain or any of this stuff when you're, in your 40s is a bit grisly. And so is he going to be ginger? Is he going to be dancing around? No. Can he throw? Yes, he can.
Is he going to be a glowing ginger? That's another question.
You almost would take a glowing ginger at some point in this campaign, depending on what happens.
Yeah, the 40-year-old quarterback side of it has really popped up. I kind of expected it. Obviously, you knew what you were getting into, but now these mounting kind of injuries are making him less mobile, and it makes it harder to do what they have to do. But that's part of the deal. That's part of what you signed up for, and we'll see if they can get their way out of it. All right, let's set the table for the week, Sess Dog. There you go. That's the Monday night recap and your news update. Connor's going to be back on Wednesday. We're going to do our first power rankings as a group, the HTC power rankings. Show might show up a little earlier if that Davante Adams trade goes down. We'll also preview the 49ers-Seahawks TNF matchup. Thursday is our big bulk preview of Week 6. Friday on Patreon, the draft of Week 6. Have you signed up for Patreon yet? You must. Patreon.com/heed the call, where you can get the Throwback Podcast, Rolling Thunder, the HTC Draft, the Marc Sessler newsletter, I Dream in Red, has dropped. Have you read that? It's fucking insane. It's bonkers. Like, you have to read it. And to read it, you have to subscribe to the Patreon. So make sure you do that. And then, of course, Sunday night, we'll be back with a flagship show. Any other thoughts, Sestog?
Well, the only thing I wanted to share with you, just because I thought it created some mass confusion, Justin, we have this graphic, is that correct, about our young friend in a rainstorm?
Pretend like you see it, and it will be there for our audience.
Well, all right.
Wow, look at that.
So you
I
see,
feel like you brought this up on the old show before, and we went through the exact same thing where you made the reference and everyone was super confused, and then you sent our producer this image, and then you put it up, and we looked at it at the end of the show. Listeners, let us know if this is something that's familiar to you also. I don't know why you're so hung up about this salt lady, but it's something that must have stuck with you at some point as a youth, and now here we are.
Well, so I'll say one thing. Justin, who also, giggled at it, realized that it's from Morton Salt. It's a company that was born back in 1848, that he actually has this actual canister in his cupboard now. That his paramour actually went and bought this salt. So,
are we talking about stuff I don't care about again at the end of the show for the second show in a row?
Yeah. One last thing you don't care about, Dan, just to put a bow on it, since we mentioned it with the news drop. The commercial, the guy in the commercial for Kyler Murray, he's like a big-time Call of Duty voice actor, so it makes sense why he is in the Call of Duty commercial.
They should have Zumwalt. I mean, Zumwalt would have done a better job. That guy was fine. I'd give him a B. Zumwalt would have been a B+.
Zumwalt has range that is sort of hard to describe.
Yeah. Maybe even A-.
This guy was in Prison Break, so I did actually recognize him because I watched that show. So he's a big-time
Now you're talking
actor.
About stuff I don't care about.
I'm out.
On the night that Dan wanted to get out of here, let's let him get out of here.
All right, everybody. Thank you, as always. Until next time, you must do what you must do. Heed the call.